Okay, I'll summarize this. I don't have a ton of time, so I won't waste your whole day. Girl Friday has this all wrong. I like Girl Friday and stuff. Her analysis is careful, typically, but this one she's just off because they're outside the rule, and the whole thing is that neither who are these podcasts nor Nobody Likes Onions are members of the public media as defined,
Right.
and this is all about how local public media typically or national public media gets access to someone in jail, because this is about protecting DOC staff and it's about protecting the inmates and not causing some sort of uprising either inside or outside the facility, or making it difficult for them to manage an incarceration facility. That's the whole point of this rule. It does not have anything to do with suppressing opinions or keeping anything out. Anybody who is outside of this rule falls under the general communications provisions that are laid out in the DOC handbook, which is, I think, Rule 302.50 is telephone communications, which when you sign up for a telephone communication, the inmate has to add you. Has to add your name to the list of people that they can talk to. And then at that point, any directors of communications or anybody who's monitoring it has the ability to designate someone a member of the press, the public media, if they want to, like if they feel that there's some sort of risk involved. But they have every opportunity to talk to anybody else. To do anything else would be a huge violation of their First Amendment rights, and they don't do that. They have full access to talk to anybody 15 minutes at a time.
Right. And that was an outbound call on top of it. It wasn't like, you can't call the jail and ask to speak with an inmate. Maybe the media knew, the media could probably reach a sergeant over there or something to set up an interview possibly, but you're not going to be able to call into the jail like, what's up? Let me talk to Mikey.
Yeah, this rule is more about literally bringing in media equipment and like a team and a crew to interview an inmate in person. The rule doesn't specifically say that, but that's kind of the intention behind it. And again, all communications other than with the narrowly defined public representatives of the public press, everybody outside of that just falls under the general communications rules. But see, normal people can't go in and set up like an interview. So if you wanted to bring in camera equipment and a mic guy and all that stuff and lighting, you are going to have to go through the jail. Obviously, you need to coordinate that. That's what this rule's about. Again, I like Girl Friday, but she looked like she had decided something must be wrong with this. Something must be wrong with this interview, and then went searching for it. And it's kind of a problem some people have when they do legal analysis, is they come up with the answer and then go proof text. And they're like, oh, I can find it. And that's not the way to approach these things.
Agreed. Moody sent me something else too. Let me see how to move us over. I haven't read this yet, but he just sent this, I guess, to also explain or to further explain. Here, I'll put you up there. It just says probably what you just said. If anyone is interested, the provisions that Girl Friday was pointing to were in regards to news media being granted access rights to inmates and for inmates to have the right to speak to the news media. Law is pretty clear about who's considered a news representative and basically describes TV stations, radio, and newspapers. The Minnesota Department of Corrections has a policy that extends to, and others are approved by the commissioner or the communications unit. I wonder, and you don't, who knows, but what did Aaron think he was going to do by calling in to, what's he going to tattle about him having a phone call that he made? It's very strange.
They know he made the phone call.
It's recorded.
Yep. Phone calls in and out of the jail to inmates are recorded, and they're all recorded. They're available for review at any time. If he broke some sort of rule, that would be on him. My understanding is there wasn't a rule to break. One of the most important things about the rules is that they are not there to in any way censor the speech of the inmate, except for speech that is violative of a law, typically some sort of harassment. If an inmate uses their phone privileges to persist in harassing a victim, something like that, that would be a problem. The other issue that you would have is if they're trying to release private information about DOC staff, because that could put that staff in danger, stuff like that. And then further down the chain would be information about inmates, but information about other inmates is actually not protected in any way. And you could talk about them so long as, their comments didn't rise to the level of incitement or encouraging harassment or something like that. Just think think of it as similar rules to what Twitter and all these other platforms have. Like they can't harass people and they can't encourage the harassment of people because those are unlawful things already.
Yeah.
And so, because they're monitored by jail staff, those are easier to detect than when people do it outside of jail. But that's about it. Like they can't stop them from talking to the press. Imagine the world in which an inmate could not talk to the press or anybody else about the conditions that they're in.
Yeah.
What they always want is a chance to explain, investigate and explain any claims. So if someone made a claim that, there were bad conditions at the jail, the warden would want to know that and they would want to look into it and then have a media response ready. And that's part of the policy too, like part of the purpose for it as well.
That makes sense. But yeah, that was all on that. I mean, I saw that on Friday. It didn't make a lot of sense to me. I do wonder, what. I hope that he didn't cause Mikey any problems by calling in. And I'm not talking about Moody. I'm talking about Aaron. But
yeah, I mean, this is one of those things. But if you haven't learned, or not you, but if the royal you haven't learned by now that Aaron says he's going to do a bunch of stuff and then doesn't ever do it, and I'm not just talking about like promises of shows or whatever. I'm talking about like, oh, I'm going to do this. Like him calling in has no benefit for Mikey. It doesn't do any good for him. It also likely won't harm him. But I don't think Aaron actually did it. He's one of those guys who routinely and overtly states the thing, gets the dopamine response from the reaction from the chat, and then that's sufficient. He doesn't have to follow through on it because he did the thing by stating it. And in his mind, it's done.
That's true.
So it's out of his head the second. I doubt he even called to warn them about Mikey. He doesn't know who he would even talk to about that. Like, who would you call and talk to? Like, hi, I want to talk to the director of telephone recordery. Like,
yeah, but he probably has. Well, he says there's a bunch of Toe fans that work there. I'm sure he has some of them on a first name basis, or at least feels like he can.
Look,
he's got contacts up there.
I know Joe isn't the only person who knows Department of Corrections staff in Minnesota, like shockingly. And this is one of those things where like both ways, they don't give a shit, like because it doesn't affect their job or their ability to conduct it. Mikey wasn't in there like snitching on other people or anything like that. There was nothing to do with that. And in no way is he going to be portrayed as some sort of like snitch or someone who's talking too much or a rat or anything, because he said, yeah, like that guy came in here and he played basketball with us and like it was kind of fun. Like that's not gonna ruin anybody's day. It's silly. Like this whole thing is being blown up like crazy. And again, like I think Girl Friday is jumping the shark a little bit here.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, something else just went off. Yeah, I agree.
Do you have any specific questions about this? Because I did a ton of research on this particular matter because obviously if one of my friends might be in legal trouble from something they did, I would want to give them a heads up and just say, hey, you may want to check into this. I found nothing concerning about this at all, but I did thoroughly research it, including like, I looked for case law around it. There's no case law on Department of Corrections policy 303.110. It doesn't exist. That policy was drafted off of federal standards, and those federal standards are all in the interest of protecting the free speech rights of the incarcerated, and then considering prison safety and the ability to run the prison as the counterbalance. So where do they find the middle of those two competing interests? And where they find it is like, it's very broadly in favor of the inmate. I mean, people do jail interviews all the time. Podcasters call up people in jail all the time. It's very silly. Even like Minnesota Public Radio, it did this huge production called Serial on, National Public Radio. And like all of that involved interviews with Adnan Syed and stuff like that. And those are just telephone calls, telephone calls from a journalist. I don't think they even had to follow any of these policies because they weren't bringing in recording equipment and a team of people, and they weren't going into the jail.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's pretty cut and dry for me. Does anybody here have any questions about it that you want to ask while he's here? But no, I mean, that makes sense.
because like I said, I didn't want to take up a ton of your time. It's just like I did a bunch of research on this, so I figured, you know, if there were any questions, I'd happily answer and explain that this is like the biggest nothing burger ever.
It's just funny to see him sort of grandstand and about how this is his homie, you know, and he's going to make sure that he's taken care of and whatnot. When, I mean, you know, Moody had to put money on his book so that he could make the phone call out.
Of
Like he,
course.
you know, it's just bullshit. It's all theater and stuff.
Oh, here
Oh, okay.
for Joe Show. Hey, buddy. There. There's sunglasses for you. I hope
There
that
you go.
I'll look longingly into your eyes.
There's a good one. Did you see the Doom clip of Gino talking about Kayla?
I haven't actually watched it. I mean, I was watching it on here with you.
Yeah.
He just he can't get over her. It's kind of sad.
Yeah, it is.
Like I don't know. Like to me, it feels like a bunch of projection because a bunch of the stuff he says about her is even more applicable towards Keanu, and like I don't understand like the holding of those two positions at the same time. They're completely counter to each other. It's like you can't say the stuff you say about Kayla and then hold those positions like and not be pissed off at Keanu. And I think he really is. I think he's really angry with her over a whole bunch of stuff. But you know, that's for him and her to work out. Like, you know, I wish them well in their relationship. I don't really give a shit. I don't want them to like break up or anything. I don't care. So but he should probably get over Kayla at some point. Like it was just one picture, buddy.
I know everybody says you need to sue him. I don't know what you get out of it, but just the principle alone.
Suing anybody is like suing anybody with that little money is a wasted endeavor. Like you're not getting to anything. They don't have anything to take. They live, you know, they don't have a house. They don't have cars. Or do they have cars? Like maybe.
I think he has a car.
God.
Yeah, it's this little red car. I saw one picture of it once outside of some comedy club, and it was just covered in bird shit. A little red, like hatchback looking thing covered in poop.
Yeah. Steven says, does Kiki get a pass for butthole pictures? Yeah, of course. Like she made a decision when she was younger and like, and that's there. Like, I don't care about it. Like, but the thing is like, if you're out there calling everybody else, like, you know, especially someone who had a picture taken of them non-consensually, if you're calling them like awful for having that picture taken, like maybe reevaluate, you know, what you're saying. Cause it's kind of insane to like, to say that, but you know, like I have no problem with Kiki like trying out OnlyFans or whatever. I think it's going to be way more common over the next 2 decades, especially. I think it's just going to be something that becomes way less of a problem for people. But like that said, I you know, whatever, I don't care. But it's just weird, like how much he focuses on this picture. It's like, well, I mean, like your lady took them voluntarily. I don't have any problem with that though. Like, put your nudes out there. I would.
No.
If I didn't have kids, I would. I don't care.
No, absolutely not. Don't do that. It'll be a terrible mistake.
If I didn't have kids, like it'd be a whole different thing. But like I do have kids. I won't, you know, I won't do that to them. But like that's I think in 10 or 20 years there won't be that, because I think so many kids as parents will have already engaged in that it won't be taboo anymore. I think that's what OnlyFans will do. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm just saying that's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah, let's hope not. Let's hope not. I stand firm on that. I think it's a huge mistake for anybody to do. Whether you've got kids or not, you may in the future. And I think it's a really bad mistake that'll follow you forever.
Yeah. No, I agree. Like I agree with all of those things. I'm just saying, like if I didn't have kids, like I wouldn't be opposed to it. But that's because I'm like broken on the inside a little bit, right? Like
I mean, you said it. You said it.
Yeah. But anyway, I'll let you get back to your show. I just wanted to come in and comment on this, and because like I said, it's like it's been so far misportrayed on the Reddit that it's crazy.
Well, and I'm glad you did. That was much more simple than I could have done. I had that statute pulled up the other day and then got busy and never went back to it. So you made it quick and easy. So thank you for that.
That's what I do. I could not say it. I could not say it after that. All right. I'll get out of here. Great show.
Later, man.
It's been very enjoyable.
Appreciate it.
All right, peace.
Later. Ah, oh gosh.